Always happy to get some time with Congressman Dan Kildee, Democrat, Michigan's 8th District. First off, how are you feeling?
I feel great. I've had a tough couple of months with that cancer diagnosis and surgery, but I'm all clear. I met with my surgeon this morning. Cancer is still gone, and I'm very optimistic that that'll be the case for the future. So I feel better. Not 100% yet, but I'm getting there.
Certainly glad to hear that. You have a great team behind you, because the way we were getting news about the work you're doing there, we thought maybe you had a Kildee clone who was filling in for you, because the work really never stopped.
I have a great staff that made it easier for me to take care of my health issues, because they continue to work hard for the people of the 8th District. You know, I tell everybody who works for me that they serve in Congress too, and it sure paid off for the people I represent when I needed to step back for a couple of weeks.
Well, you have introduced a few bills in the recent weeks, and at least 2 of them have bipartisan support. One would expand labor rights for public safety officers. The other would support Michigan manufacturing and farmers. What do you want the folks back here in the district to know about these bills, and why you think they're so important?
Well, I think in both cases, I'm trying to be true to the title and the job description. I'm a representative. And what I hear from people back home is that they want us to invest in manufacturing, especially around the opportunities in agriculture, and to have the ability to have tools to invest in that, in the necessary equipment to grow the economy is really important. And then when it comes to public safety officers, we want to attract and retain the very best that we can, who take on this really tough job knowing that they have the ability to have the best working conditions and benefits that they need. They need to be held accountable for their work, but we also need to recognize that they do a tough job and they need us to have their back, and that's what our legislation would do.
Blocking that proposed Canadian nuclear waste storage facility, those efforts continue. That's also on a bipartisan basis. Where do things with that stand right now? Because that's an important issue, not only for Michigan, but every Great Lakes state in our region.
It is, and this is you're right to point out, this is a bipartisan effort. To preserve and protect the Great Lakes is something that's important, not just for us today, but for generations to come. And Democrats and Republicans recognize that. And so we've come together to politely request the Canadian government to not locate a permanent high-level nuclear waste storage facility in proximity to the Great Lakes or anywhere in the Great Lakes Basin. It doesn't go missing on us that 40 or so years ago, when the U.S. was thinking about placing a similar facility in the St. Lawrence Seaway Basin, the Canadian government asked us not to place a nuclear waste facility in a shared water basin. We're simply asking for the same consideration of the Canadian government now. We think it's common sense. In the vast landmass that comprises Canada, there has to be a safer place to put nuclear waste than in proximity to the world's greatest source of fresh water, and that, of course, is the Great Lakes. And so that's why Democrats and Republicans have come together on this issue.
They've always been a good neighbor. Are they open to the discussions?
They are. You know, we had this conversation a few years ago when they were looking at another facility on the shores of Lake Huron, and we won that fight. They made a determination to not put that intermediate waste facility there just across, from Tawas in the Lake Huron area. And so we expect that they may make the same decision again if we handle this right. We would like our administration to elevate this issue with the Canadian government. We have a great relationship with our Canadian friends. It's the world's greatest trading partnership, but we have some differences. And this is one that I would like the Biden administration to elevate as well and speak with Prime Minister Trudeau about this, and hopefully that would have a positive effect.
Let me ask you quickly on the compromise to get the debt ceiling raised. Do you anticipate any negative impacts for folks here in the district that they need to prepare for?
Well, I think the most important thing is that it creates stability, and that's good for everybody. It's not the deal that I would like. You know, it does dial back on some of our domestic investments. We make some modifications that I think are acceptable to, say, the SNAP program. But the best outcome is that it created some stability. I will say that I'm concerned that Speaker McCarthy is already violating the agreement that he just signed. The tax bill that they pushed through the Ways and Means Committee, for example, is inconsistent with the agreement. The appropriations bills that they just announced that they're going to bring to the Appropriations Committee are inconsistent with the agreement. So while I think the agreement itself was fine, it's up to both parties to live up to it and be honest brokers. And so far what we've seen with Speaker McCarthy is that he seems to be so beholden to this really small group of rogue and I think some cases deranged members of Congress. He's entered into a power sharing agreement with some of the most outrageous members of Congress. That's not helpful. So I'm more concerned about the fallout here and the effect that that might have back home of Republicans, and specifically in this case, Speaker McCarthy, not living up to a deal that he just signed and celebrated.
Let me ask you on a lighter note, the big congressional baseball game is tonight. Are you going? Are you able to play? Or have they made you the honorary manager this year?
They have, in fact, made me a manager this year. I was not able to practice because of the cancer surgery that I just had. This is the first year since I've been in Congress that I won't be on the field, but I'll be in the dugout and I'll be providing lots of support to my fellow Democrats. It's going to be a tough game. The Republicans have an incredibly talented team. Maybe we can pull this out, who knows? All
right, well, we're nonpartisan here in the newsroom, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for everybody involved. It should be a fun night. Congressman Dan Kildee, we appreciate your time, sir, as always. Looking forward to seeing you when you're back here in the district.
Thanks, Mike. It's always good to talk to you.
All right, take care.
Thank you.